Dark. Hey, Kings of Dragons, Dragon King 551, and today we're going to do a part two of revivals, reboots, spin-offs, whatever you want to call it, anything along the lines of that. So, first off, let's talk about a couple that I've heard rumors about. I've heard aspects behind it, and it's just not necessarily a great thing for them to do these types of spin-offs. First off, Pretty Little Liars, the spin-off or whatever it is, the version that's kind of and the reboot revival version or whatever that they tried to bring back without Lucy Hale or any of those other characters. I'm very glad that it got canceled, in my opinion, because at the end of the day, nothing is better than the original story, those actors and stuff. It's just like leave it alone, don't touch it. The same with Gossip Girl. Whether you hate Blake Lively or you don't, there's just no point to make a reboot for that show, whether it's good or not. The same can be said about One Tree Hill. It's not a good idea for them to bring it back 20 years later because the thing that they're forgetting about is that there were multiple timeline jumps in the show. The first one happened in season 4 to season 5, where, it was a 5 year time jump. They were out of college and everything. They were living their life, and, that's kind of what happened. And then when you get to season 9 of the show, where it's basically 2016, because I think 5 years, the show ended in 2007 in season 4. I don't mean the show ended, but season 4 ended in 2007. And um, when that happened, you take the 5 year time jump, you're in 2012. And then when you go another 4 seasons in season 5, that's season 9, that's 2016, really the timeline. By taking a 20-year time jump, it would be 2036, which implies that Brooke, Peyton, and Haley would be basically grandparents. Their kids would have kids. It doesn't make sense. It's not a good idea. Now, I never hated the iCarly reboot or anything about it. It's just that the thing that really baffled my mind as a fan of the show is that, you know, it didn't work. It didn't click as well because they were using these types of things, streaming off Apple or Pearphone or whatever. They weren't using the camera type aspects. I didn't really care if Sam came back or not, but I was like, where's Gibby? Where's these other characters? And it was just infuriating, frustrating, and quite annoying, in my opinion, because there were so many times where I was just like, why are we bringing back certain shows? Cobra Kai, for now, is the only show that I've seen be successful as a show for at least 5 seasons. Season 6 is not full review yet. Can't give my review about that. But the show has been pretty good. I know a lot of people don't like it anymore because it became a soap opera show, but at the end of the day, some of these reboots were not good. Fuller House is one that's not good because it's just pretty much the same thing with a role reversal of three women raising three young boys instead of it being three men raising three young girls in Full House. And then also killing off the spouse of the oldest person there or whatever and stuff, and killing off the spouse. Legacies is another example of a show that just didn't work because it tried being something it wasn't. Superman and Lois is a good show. However, the problem with it is disconnecting it from the main Arrowverse and disconnecting it from Supergirl. And then when you get into season 3 of the show, into season 4 of the show, you're like, we already did the Lex Luthor plot. I don't want that plot again because we already watched it in Supergirl and he's already in the Phantom Zone. So it made no sense for them to do like a parallel universe type thing. And then it's just like, well, John Diggle, the same actor who plays John Diggle on The Flash and Arrow and stuff, is crossing over onto Superman and Lois, and then you decanonized it by season 2 and stuff, so you made the show really funky. Now, if Melissa Benoist wants to come back in season 4 for the final time, it's just going to be this whole entire funky, wacko shit because the show is good, and the man who plays Eobard Thawne, Tom Cavallon, or whatever his name is, I'm sorry if I butchered his name, but that man directed some of the show, and it looks like he may respire his role for playing Thawne and stuff in this upcoming season 4. Now there's only going to be 10 episodes. It's the end of Arrowverse and CW shows for me, but at the end of the day, it is what it is, and some of these shows were good, other ones were bad. I also feel like Legacies had that Legends of Tomorrow vibe. They kind of used very similar CGI. There was definitely some Wild West stuff that I feel like people copied from Legends of Tomorrow. Said, "Hey, let's just do a copy and paste job in the therapy box aspects of the show and stuff." And I mean, everything else, you know, just happened the way it did. And I mean, the whole therapy box and everything else that was kind of similar to Legends of Tomorrow. Oh, let's do monsters for legacies and stuff. Okay, that's the same thing Legends of Tomorrow did with monsters, aliens, and all these other freaks and stuff. So there's just certain spin-offs that didn't work. The originals and Cobra Kai are probably two of the best spin-offs that I've ever watched, uh, or reboots or revivals or whatever. The other ones are just not good. I don't really want to watch a Harry Potter like reboot revival type thing where, you could have given me the Marauders era, and I would have loved to see how all of that happens, how Peter Pettigrew kind of betrays them, how Sirius gets caught, and everything else in between. But I also feel that to try to be book accurate is okay, but it's just like I like the actors that play those roles. I don't really want to, associate myself with newer actors. Now, I don't think like putting Adam Driver or someone like that for Severus Snape is bad, but it's just not a good idea to do this where people are like, "Oh yeah, let's do Dan I'm sorry, let's do, Dan Daniel Radcliffe is still the man of Harry Potter and stuff, and Bonnie Wright, and people are saying, well, maybe they should come back and play Harry's parents in this new one. They should be James and Lily and stuff. And I'm like, I'm not. That's not entirely put it past them type aspect, but I mean, they could also make Bonnie Wright play Molly Weasley as well and stuff, or something along the lines of that, and it would be kind of cool. But I mean, talk about sometimes a downgrade in these shows. And look, I don't hate Percy Jackson the series either, but it just wasn't as good as the films. I like Alexandra Daddario playing the role. I like her playing Athena. I don't mind the lead playing the guy. I don't mind them being older to play the show and stuff. I mean, isn't that the whole point? Sometimes you try to find guys that are a little bit younger to play high school guys. Like Tom Holland was 22 when he played the first Spider-Man, but Mary Mauser, Peyton List, Sholo, all these Jacob Bertrand, all these actors that are Tanner Buchanan, all these actors in Cobra Kai are in their late 20s and stuff. They're 26, 24, 25, 27, 28, so forth and so on, that it just doesn't matter and stuff. That's the point of acting. But I mean, at the end of the day, I just don't really feel like some of these reboots and revivals were a great idea. Leave some of the stuff in the past. I don't want a Twilight reboot. I don't want a Twilight TV show. Nobody asked for that. Twilight is fine the way it is. You can't go back with Vampire Diaries. You can never go back. It wouldn't make sense to the story. You can't come out with a season 9 because legacies and everything else with hope and everything, and um you can't come out with a Vampire Diaries movie and stuff because it just doesn't make sense and you can't go backwards. So some of these characters are dead. You can't bring them back. And furthermore, if they tried to reboot the series and say, oh, we want to make it more book accurate, that's stupid too, because at the end of the day, I think the show was great the way it was. And, it's just the way it is. And I don't think that they should bring it back. It wouldn't make sense. People are like, oh, let's get Danielle Rose Russell to play Bonnie Bennett. It's like, talk about a downgrade. I'd rather be Hope Michelson forever and stuff, the Tribrid. And, I just don't think it's a good idea with these stories and everything. But that's all I got for you guys. So until next time, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that like button hit that subscribe button, smash that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one. Leave some comments down below how you feel about reboots and everything. Obviously, this is part two. And as I've said in part one, I talked about how Cobra Kai and Originals was the best reboots and stuff, but it's just why try to revive something that was good in the past with the characters and actors and stuff, and some of them don't want to come back and they can't make cameos and everything, so forth and so on. One final show I will talk about is that I'm concerned with them doing the Wizards of Waverly Place because it's going to be addressed to the newer, younger generation instead of being like a kind of a grown-up show that they did with iCarly and stuff. But I guess it is the way it is. Now we may see a Hannah Montana in the near future. I don't know. They said Miley said she does want to come back. The other thing here is, will they bring back more Nickelodeon stuff on Paramount Plus? Will they bring back Big Time Rush TV show? Because there is actually talk about a movie coming out. And are there other things that are going along the line of that? But I don't know. So until next time, don't forget to stay radical. I'll see you in the next one. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and that's all I got for you guys. Okay, guys, so I wanted to do one more final thing for you guys for the part two of this reboots, revivals, and everything. I don't know if I've mentioned it before or anything about the One Tree Hill reboot that's coming out, but I wanted to talk about how I don't really like the way that this reboot is being established. For example, the problem that I have with this reboot is that it's saying it's 20 years after the events of One Tree Hill. But here's the problem. There are already two time jumps in the show. When we go from season 4 to season 5, it's already a 5-year time jump. And it's 2007, 2008, roughly. So the show ends around 2016 because when we go into season 5, it's really 2012. So all that time jump mumbo jumbo, it's 2012 with all of that being implied in the story and stuff. And then when we go to the end, adding 5 more seasons and everything, or whatever it is, or 2000, it ends roughly around like, 4 more seasons after season 5. It's 2016 if the start of season 5 is 2012. Now you're saying that that's the case, and then we see that James Lucas Scott, we take another time jump for I don't know how many years he's into the future, but if we're just using 2016 and we add 10 years to that, it's 2026. We add another 10 years, it's 2036, which would imply that James Lucas Scott and all those kids, like Jenny from Jake and all of them, would basically be married and have kids of their own. So Peyton, Brooke, Naley's kids, Nathan and Haley's kids, would all have kids. So they would become the new grandparents, and then the people that are still alive would basically be the great grandparents and everything. The story's not really working with correlation of this stuff. And even if you were to just take the original timeline where it ended in 2012 and add 20 years, that's just a 4-year difference than what the time jump does. It's 2032. It still would be technically, it still technically would be the kids having kids. Now, obviously, if we're to use like legacies, for example, they've taken time jumps, but it didn't affect those kids so much because when you went into 2028 to 2031, they still were in their teenage years of 17 and stuff where those kids like Hope, Lizzie, and Josie didn't have kids themselves. But for One Tree Hill, you really can't do that and say, oh, let's go from 2003 to now 20 years into the future because there was a season 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. If the show ended at the end of season 4 or at the end of season 5 or 6, then there could be a possible way to say, okay, well, it's only 2013, so now we take a 20-year time jump or something like that in the show and say, oh, it's only really 2009 when this happened, so now it's 2029 and so forth and so on. But because of James and all these other characters, I don't think it's going to work out for the best. But that's all I got for you guys. So until the next time, don't forget to like and subscribe. Drop some likes on this video. Hit that subscribe button, smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. And as I always say, don't forget to stay radical.